If there's one platform that perfects the art of making trash even trashier, it's TikTok. And wow, did they ever deliver when they handed live streaming powers to every bored millennial with Wi-Fi. It didn't take long before there was a plague of the worst kind of psychics infesting the platform. I mean the absolute bottom feeders of the industry, with crusty Amazon tarot decks and wrinkled Temu tapestries telling you they know your dead little mom is proud of you. But guess what? She isn't, because you just Venmoed $50 to a creepy Floridian who would blatantly lie about your poor, dead little mom. I know I'm right about this because I recently received a bunch of TikTok psychic readings for an upcoming video, and I have a very real PhD in ghosts and psychic abilities from one of the only paranormal universities this side of the grave. One thing I've noticed lately is that the psychic industry has objectively seen a large shift in tactics since the internet, like with Etsy psychics, but the change has been monumental since TikTok went mainstream. See, back in the day, psychics had standards. They'd actually learn cold reading techniques, set up storefronts and wait for you like a spider in a web made of sticky from its butt. And they'd also study human psychology or stalk your family from the bushes, both of which show dedication. But now, these mediums are literally doing readings while taking steamy dumplings. If you're on TikTok, you know who I'm about to bring up. Our main character, Psychic Natalia, toilet prophetess.
We're getting a lot of hate. Please ignore it. I just block.
Real name, Serene Zisk Parkin, maybe. Location, Winnipeg, the Alberta of Canada. Followers, thousands of masochists who love watching train wrecks because they're sadists. Specialities, lies, toilet readings, racism, and dog abuse. This woman has gone viral for a lot of things, screaming at followers for not sending money fast enough, admitting to just guessing about people's dead relatives, doing multiple readings while, how do I put this delicately? Shitting on camera, like not like on the camera, but from the toilet. And also kicking her dog, also on camera.
Hey, get the fuck out of here.
If you haven't seen her in action, I don't think you'd believe me about how absolutely wild she is. So let's watch. Who is Psychic Natalia?
I'm a gifted psychic.
Oh, like Teresa Caputo.
Teresa Caputo, she's very accurate. I think I'm more intuitive than her though, because she goes in a room. What I do is I connect to the person that you're wanting.
Oh, so you're a different kind of psychic?
I'm not a psychic.
So you talk to the dead. You're a medium.
I told everybody I was a medium. That is incorrect. I am what you call an empath. An empath sees vision, so that's what I do.
Okay, sorry. Are you a psychic, an empath, a medium, or?
A clairvoyant. I see into the future.
You know, I guess it doesn't matter what she is as long as she can do a good reading, right?
The number I'm seeing is 8 or a 1. Now this could mean anything.
Okay.
I know how to make money and do it. Look at me. I do nothing.
She's the Shane Dawson of psychics.
Yeah, you like that? The two of you had a wonderful time together. You've succeeded in ways you never dreamed possible. And if you know anything about mediums, they look off. It doesn't mean they're reading a computer. If you see me look this way or this way, it's because I see spirits.
The mouse click sends me every fucking time. She was accused of being racist, but she quickly dispelled those rumors.
And I got pissed off and I called somebody the N-word and then I apologized, so now they can't get over it.
Oh, really? A racist? Could a racist old white lady say the N-word? Yup. It's not like a TikTok live psychic being full of shit is that odd. They are the least effective psychics at convincing the world they're, like, actually psychic. See, often they don't have the time to research the client, called a sitter, before a reading, and they can't see them, so they can't do a cold reading. So you can ask them wild questions that don't apply at all, and they'll answer without a second thought, which is what happened to me when I tested the powers of several TikTok psychics. Put a pin in that. People turn to psychics for all kinds of things. Sometimes they're struggling with distressing, unwanted thoughts like, I'm having doubts about my relationship. Is he cheating? Should we break up? Or I just had a really disturbing thought. Does it mean I'm going to do something terrible? Is there a dark spirit taking me over? Do I need a cleansing? If you're constantly seeking psychic readings for serious questions, it's important to know that you might actually be seeking reassurance, and that excessive reassurance seeking can be a common, frequently overlooked symptom of OCD. It is for me. I've been thinking a lot about the intersection of my OCD and the superstitious or paranormal beliefs I had when I was younger, so I was excited that the sponsor of this video, NoCD, reached out to me while I was working on it. My OCD was often fundamentally superstitious in nature, and still is. There were periods in my teenage years where I turned to things like Wiccan rituals to protect myself from things that didn't exist outside of me. I just had OCD. Real OCD isn't about being neat or organized. It involves unwanted, intrusive thoughts that cause intense anxiety, like doubts or fears that feel impossible to shake, whether they seem plausible or not. These thoughts cause such intense distress that it feels like you need to do something to make the distress go away, like seeing a psychic who can tell you everything will be okay, usually for an extra charge. So maybe you pay for a reading, the psychic tells you what you want to hear, and you feel a little better for a little bit. But then the doubt creeps back in, and you feel like you need another reading. That sweet calm has worn down, and now the edge is back. I know that feeling, but when you have OCD, that reassurance doesn't actually help. It just keeps you in a loop. Like, yes, it feels good to hear someone tell you that they've satisfied the requirements to banish intrusive thoughts for the moment, but all it does is reinforce that loop. That's not helping you the way that specialized therapy does. And I mean the right kind of specialized therapy, exposure and response prevention, or ERP. I did it and it changed my life. ERP is the most effective treatment for OCD, but you need a therapist who truly understands OCD to guide you through it. I really appreciated not having to explain myself and OCD from the ground up. NoCD is the world's leading provider of OCD treatment. All of their licensed therapists specialize in treating OCD with ERP therapy and are expertly trained, so they understand how OCD can show up and how to address it when it does. Therapy with NoCD is 100% virtual, covered by insurance for over 155 million Americans, and includes support between sessions, so you have help when you need it most. And while psychics want you to keep coming back, NoCD therapists teach you skills you can use for life. If any of this sounds familiar, go to nocd.com and book a free 15-minute call with their team to learn more. That's nocd.com. To be clear, I'm not diagnosing anyone or assigning any roots to anyone's beliefs, but when it comes to the paranormal, I think it's absolutely necessary to examine all the possible explanations. And that goes harder when you're paying out of pocket for some metaphysical advice or guidance that is objectively proven to be objectively unproven. Like, for instance, someone who says they can communicate with your dead little aunt who was never alive.
But I am going to start with Caelan, because I know, Caelan, you've been waiting for a while, so now it is your turn.
That's me. Oh, they can't hear me. A few years ago, I went undercover in online anti-trans hate groups for a video series I was doing for this channel, and I used the pseudonym Carol Marinera. And now when I go to psychics, I always ask them about my Aunt Carol, who isn't dead because she was never born. But I don't tell them that. Will my Aunt Carol forgive me?
I want to know if your aunt is going to forgive you. So I'm hearing that she will forgive you. Oh, yeah. Yep, definitely. Family matters.
Seems like she assumed she was alive. Time for the switch up. Can you sense her spirit now?
Oh, she passed on. Well, that's different. See, I didn't know about that.
Well, that changes everything. Should it? Shouldn't you have known that to begin with?
If she's somebody that just passed, then you have nothing to worry about, because once you get up there, you forgive everyone and everything.
Hear that? Anyone who dies forgives everybody of everything immediately. That obviously wasn't the whole thing, but that's just a little preview for you for the investigation I'm doing. A little taste. Sure, you can troll them, but they have the upper hand. If you call them out for making shit up, all they have to do is kick you from the live. Similar to how my dear, dead Aunt Carol Marinera was kicked from her life. The ease with which this deception comes to them shows how little these scammers care about their victims. Like, it must be so convenient to be so ethically challenged, firing off yes-no answers to questions about people's intimate relationships and dilemmas while sitting in a messy living room in pajamas, or worse, on the can, absolutely obliterating the plumbing. Pipes looking like a snake after eating a horse. TikTok mediums charge dozens to hundreds per reading, so even terrible psychics can profit from moderate followings and shit readings. After all, you have to pay first. That's why Psychic Natalia was able to make bank even while relying way too heavily on the blame the audience technique, as many live stream mediums do. And she was extra aggressive about it, as she is about everything. Her bathroom antics weren't what made her internet famous, though. It was her unhinged lies that were the highlights of subreddits dedicated to documenting her live streams and fabrications. She became a bit of a lol cow. She was known for claiming a large number of professions, was caught in lies multiple times in which she claimed to be in dire straits, getting evicted, or that her house is burnt down. She's alone in a hotel room with a baby, that she needs money right now, or else. Or else what? She would never tell, and the world may never know. She has thousands of posts across multiple accounts and apps, though because of people exposing and harassing her, most of her accounts are inactive or dead now. Don't worry, she can obviously still talk to them. When I looked at one of her TikTok accounts while this was being written, she was in the process of winning a TikTok live battle, also known as a gift begging contest. If anything shows how little these grifters think of the people they exploit, it's Natalia, kicking her dog on live on the way to go take a shit through her TikTok live reading, in which she tells you you're stupid and whispers off camera that she knows how to take advantage of people while doing literally nothing. Looking at this woman's work, it's difficult to imagine how anyone could believe she has special abilities. But it only takes one correct guess, known as a hit, and now you're a believer. Those add up, turn into followers, and followers turn into defenders. And because having a social media following means you'll see familiar names in chat, it can feel like a real community to someone in distress. They might return to her streams repeatedly to feel part of something, and even pay to keep that feeling going. As Geraldo Laderulo says in The Ultimate Cold Reading, "Believe me, they're all or almost all too wise to believe in the possibility of predicting the future. Gone are the old times of crystal balls. People want to hear something else. They want to hear that there is a chance that things will get better. Possibility is credible." While Psychic Natalia's content is offensively bad enough that most people would swipe away and hit "Do not show me posts like this!" that isn't enough to dissuade everyone. All she needs is one hit, one time each, with a few people, and those people will vouch for her and defend her against critics. Meanwhile, victims of her alleged scams have nowhere to turn to for help. I saw a Reddit post asking if anyone else had been scammed by her, and most responses were basically, "Don't believe in psychics," mocking the poster. And I get the instinct, I really do, but it doesn't help anyone or dissuade believers. They'll rationalize it away. Sure, Psychic Natalia might be a fraud, maybe even all TikTok live psychics are, but that doesn't mean psychics don't exist. And no, TikTok psychics being terrible at convincing people of their powers doesn't mean that psychics are all frauds. The fact that they're all frauds, however, absolutely means they're all frauds. Because, and I cannot emphasize this enough, all psychics are bastards. Mainstream media outlets platform psychic services every day. We see horoscopes in the newspapers, or we would if newspapers still existed. We see psychics on daytime national TV, probably, or we would if anyone watched it. And we have psychic hotlines, and they would even get answered if anyone still made phone calls. But in an era where people were much less online, the 20s, infamous psychic medium Sylvia Browne was regularly platformed by massive names with crazy reach, like Oprah Winfrey, Montel Williams, and even Larry King. Billionaire, bald, bones. It was from the stage of these shows that Sylvia was paid to lie to the parents of children who had gone missing, specifically lying about what had happened to their missing kids. One such girl was Amanda Berry. Amanda used to watch Montel with her mother, and they both loved it when Sylvia Browne was a guest on the show, because Sylvia, she was the real deal. So when Amanda found out her mother was going to be on the show with Sylvia Browne, she was excited. She was hopeful even for the first time since 2003, when she had been kidnapped and held hostage by Ariel Castro, a serial kidnapper, rapist, and murderer. It was a year later now, November 16th, 2004, and Amanda was watching her mother talk to Sylvia on the TV from the house she was being held captive. It was there that she watched Sylvia Browne lie to her mother and tell her mother that she was dead. She tells this story in her book, Hope, a memoir of survival in Cleveland.
Then Sylvia says, "I hate this. when they're in water. I just hate this. She's not alive, honey. What? Why did she say that? Mum's face just drops. I start crying and shouting at the TV. I'm not dead. I'm alive and I'm right here. Now Sylvia's describing how the Cuban guy wears his pants really low. What is she talking about? I can't believe this. My mum sounds desperate. So you don't think I'll ever get to see her again? Yeah, Sylvia tells her. In heaven, on the other side. This is awful. When I get out of here, I'm gonna have a few words with Sylvia Brown. She is a fraud. And now my poor mother is going to be convinced I'm dead because she trusts Sylvia? This is going to crush her. She has to ignore what she was told and keep believing I'm alive and fighting to bring me home. If she doesn't, how can I keep hoping? They cut to a commercial, and my mom is gone.
When in 2013 Amanda Berry was found alive, public opinion turned harshly against Sylvia Brown. Turns out she lied time and time again, and you probably didn't have to be psychic to figure that one out. For an in-depth retelling of the crimes of this fraud, check out the Sylvia Brown episode of my podcast, Respect the Dead, the podcast where we don't. Live in front of a studio audience, that woman calmly and confidently lied to the faces of grieving parents, destroying their lives, destroying their hopes, robbing them of all motivation to keep looking for their children who were alive and being held captive. Or lying to parents and giving them false hope, despite their child having died within days of going missing. But even despite public outcry, some people still believed she was the real deal. You might not think it, but psychic mediums are extremely popular. Data from the Pew Research Center shows that among Americans, about 44% think dead people definitely or are likely watching us, communicating with us, and interjecting in our lives to assist us, which is why the psychic services industry is estimated to be worth around $2.2 billion. And while you might think most psychics just tell believers their dead parents are proudly watching over them, things can get way more macabre and criminal real quick, because it's not just the readings. After that often comes the upsell. You go in for a normal reading to ask if your crush likes you or whatever, if he'll leave his stupid ugly wife who doesn't appreciate him, and all of a sudden the psychic looks distraught. There are so many stories of people going in to get their tarot read for $45 and leaving with $20 of crap that cost them $1,000. It's a grift, like any other, like an MLM, but with only one level. A single level marketing scheme. And it's always been like this, ever since the interest in spiritualism and psychic abilities exploded in Europe and North America in the mid-19th century. This brought in a sudden influx of newly discovered psychic powers among the white middle classes. What a happy coincidence. Seances were exceedingly popular, and by the beginning of the 20th century, a popular parlor game known as a talking board had received a patent and a new name. The Ouija board. I mean, I made this one. This is not a Ouija board. This is a Respect the Dead board, but like, you get the point, right? The Ouija board is like Monopoly for people who think a Confederate soldier's unfinished business binding him to the mortal realm for 150 years is that he wanted to tell you that Ethan likes you. But even back then, in the days of the Fox sisters, argued to be the progenitors of the American spiritualism movement, spiritualism and psychic mediums had their skeptical investigators. These were scientists who would try to test these claims in controlled conditions, publishing their conclusions when, inevitably and as always, evidence wasn't found. Which, given Maggie Fox eventually came out and said it was a hoax, seems like a bad start. But in the mid-19th century, you might forgive people for being easily spooked. Electricity was new. Photography was new. They'd only recently stopped drilling each other's brains with leeches to balance their hubrises. They didn't even have YouTube even. So someone pulling a sheet out of their shirt and calling it ectoplasm might have been the most exciting shit you've ever seen. Because again, they were bored and stupid. But by the 1970s, after a resurgence of interest in spiritualist movements and psychic services, worried skeptics formed the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, which aimed to investigate this growing industry. Notable member, co-founder, and magician James Randi from Toronto, which is the Montreal of Canada, took it upon himself to publicly expose famous psychics and faith healers. He absolutely obliterated Uri Geller's claims of being able to bend spoons with his mind on national TV. Turns out, Geller struggles to bend spoons he hasn't had a chance to bend beforehand, and couldn't guess what was drawn on pre-sealed cards. In 1996, Randi established the James Randi Educational Foundation, which offered $1 million to anyone who could show psychic abilities in a controlled setting. Unsurprisingly, that cash prize was never won. Most high-profile psychics have been asked to participate, but all either refuse point blank or change the subject when asked. Let me ask you, if there was something that you could do really well, some skill or special talent, and somebody offered you $1 million to just prove that you can do this thing that you do all the time, you'd bite their hand off grabbing at that cash, right? I mean, there are not many ethical ways in this world to make $1 million so quickly, so effortlessly, so extrasensorily. If someone came up to me and was like, "You're a YouTuber, right? Can I watch you doing YouTube stuff in a controlled setting and I'll give you a cool milli?" I'd say, "That's a bit weird, and are you sure you should be in charge of your own finances?" But then I'd say, yes, because one man's loss is not my problem. When I say psychic here, I mostly mean medium, but as a medium, I resent the label. A psychic medium claims to converse with spirits. That's it. For many, it's their entire career. Some might claim bogus mind-reading abilities or mystical powers like energy healing, but all psychic mediums claim to send and receive messages from beyond the grave, even though reception on the other side is terrible. These are the kind of people who will talk to your dead gran and tell you what she's up to in the spirit world or in heaven, which is ridiculous because everybody knows all grandmas go to hell. We've all seen the movie. In the Sylvia Browne episode of my podcast, Respect the Dead, I detail her doing this exact thing when challenged by James Randi. It was embarrassing. Psychics and mediums have to deal with skeptics all the time, but tarot live streams on TikTok attempt to circumvent skeptics' ability to disprove the readings. Because divination is all about reading the future, psychics can easily claim some sort of plausible deniability. Firstly, I'm not saying it. The cards are saying it. And if it's not true for you now, just wait, it will be. Also, this is probably only telling you the most likely outcome of events. So, should you continue down the same path, maybe it'll happen, but otherwise, maybe not. So audience members are encouraged to ask questions about their future, about people in their lives, and about big decisions that they are struggling to make, but haven't made yet. It's less, is my dad happy in heaven? And more, should I take this job? Should I leave my partner? Should I get this mole checked out by a professional doctor? And the psychic doesn't even need to pretend to be channeling answers. It's all on the card. Simply pick up a card, yes or no. Much more efficient. This probably contributes to why #tarot has billions of views. The techniques used by psychic mediums in the past haven't adapted much over the years, seeing as they're all still used by TikTok psychics today, and people like Randi have shown just how easy these tactics are to master. But that doesn't change the fact that these tricks are still working, just as well as they ever did. Everyone and their grandmother's ghost has a story about how the psychic their mom saw truly knew something she truly couldn't have known, but they didn't. You hear these stories and it's like, she knew my mom's dad's dad was a farmer. Meanwhile, mummy is wearing her my paternal grandfather was a farmer, ask me how shirt. Okay, usually it's less obvious, like a wedding ring around a necklace and cat fur on your clothes, which is called cold reading. Cold reading refers to a number of methods which are employed to make it seem as though a medium or psychic knows information they shouldn't be able to know. They might look at how you're dressed, how you wear your hair, your age, accent, jewelry, clothing, anything at all that might tell them something about you. Essentially, they take in everything they can sense about you with the OG 5 senses: lips, ears, nose, mouth, feet, fingers, eyes. And then, with the same information everyone who sees you has about you, throws out a number of vaguish guesses and questions which have a statistical likelihood of applying to you. Then they read your body language and reactions to gain more information on if they're getting warmer or colder. Occasionally, this involves prior research, like knowing which names are most popular in a given time period. After a quick Google search, anyone would know that it's unlikely some white American millennial woman's grandmother is going to be named like Kimberly. But throw a Mary out there? Give that bitch a Sandra? Even sprinkle a little Linda on top. Now we're cooking with Nona. Then there's statistical analysis. Older, you likely have deceased relatives. Tattoos and piercings, maybe you fancy yourself a nonconformist. Once you get hits, comes the second stage, letting the audience fill in the blanks, turning vagueness into meaning. I'm getting female energy. A name starting with M? Oh my God, my mom's name is Mom. That's her, she's coming through to me. I sense she was years older than you. Yeah, that's Mom. She was the oldest out of her and my siblings and me. The way psychics claim ghosts communicate is so funny to me. Imagine battling the forces of the universe and fighting so hard to contact those you left behind, and you're like, please, tell my son my name starts with the letter. Some psychics who suck at cold reading turn to hot reading, seeking information about clients beforehand. Today's psychics just require a name since people post most of their lives on social media. But even for those who don't have audiences' names beforehand, it's frequently as simple as having someone you know in your audience or in the venue to get information on your behalf. You know, like some other woman standing in line with you to get in saying shit like, I truly hope I get to speak to my Frederick, rest his head. Who are you hoping to talk to? Hot reading is usually responsible for the highly specific intuitions, which famous psychics are known for. The higher the profile of the psychic, the more they get to field their clients, from like selling tickets. And also the more stooges they can employ, the more they can know about their clients beforehand in general. On the Darren Brown documentary, Testing Psychics, they showed people getting psychic readings in which most of the things the psychic said were wrong, but literally just one hit was enough for the sitter to think the reading was great, because that's all they wanted to hear. Most believers would probably say that they know there are frauds out there, that it's terrible when people pretend to be psychic to profit off grief, that it's such a shame because there are so many good ones out there. And when someone gets a bad reading that makes no sense, they're unlikely to simply lose their belief in psychic power. We know that people typically remember the hits and forget the misses, but even when it's nothing but misses, people usually just move on to the next psychic and the next, until they meet one that knows something they shouldn't be able to know, and now they found the real psychic. And of course, the more you go back to the same medium, the more they'll know about you. The more you tell them or let slip, the readings will get more accurate over time because of course they will. Of course you can intuit things more easily about someone you know better. I know when my friend's mood changes, when they seem anxious or upset, and so does the psychic. And the whole time, as you continue to return for readings, you become more dependent on them for answers, comfort, and advice. Psychics who have been caught out in fraud can easily move on, rebrand, gain more clients from elsewhere. They have a target market of hundreds of millions after all. After Uri Geller's career exploded despite his embarrassing TV appearance, a New York Times article had this to say. To an enthusiastically trusting public, his failure only made his gifts seem more real. If he were performing magic tricks, they would surely work every time. Failure made it seem more real. Inconsistency is no problem to psychics, they rely on it. But most psychics don't have millions of viewers and all the scrutiny that comes with that. Most work one-on-one with vulnerable people at home, by phone, or online. When famous psychics are convicted, it's usually for tax issues, never for ruining people's lives. If you're hurt by a psychic, there's little help available. Critics are mainly Christians or skeptical atheists who can be unsympathetic. Victims face isolation, other fans won't listen, skeptics judge them, and law enforcement ignores non-financial fraud. Online platforms provide endless victims for anyone looking to take advantage. When you're outside looking in, it's tempting to wonder why you should care. It's all silly, isn't it? If someone consults a psychic or a TikTok tarot reader for important life decisions, they were probably going to make bad decisions anyway. But it's not a good thing when vast amounts of wealth transfer from those who need it to some of the worst people on the planet. That affects everyone. It says something about society when people feel the only place for trusted advice is either some soulless toaster or some card-flipping scammer on a pixelated live stream. And while law enforcement rarely actually consults psychics, despite what they'd have you believe, that doesn't stop them from consulting, which leads investigators to get inundated with false leads, which waste their time and possibly has them miss something important. Anything promoting magical thinking creates barriers to necessary political and social changes. Many TikTok psychics heavily promote the law of attraction and manifestation, some offering universal cheat codes. When people believe they can alter reality by sending money to a live streamer, that's something we should all be worried about and challenge. No good comes from that. Well, but they comfort people, right? They help grieving people with moving on from their loss. Do they? Cultures across history have always held rituals to communicate with ancestors or deceased loved ones. Keeping connections to those who have passed seems important to human experience, shown in our long history of burial rituals. These rituals offer shared experiences for communities and families and connects people with others who have experienced grief, and that can be powerful for mental recovery. In the West, we have gravestones to be near our loved ones despite them not really being there anymore. A common wish among the bereaved is to speak with them one last time to say goodbye. If psychic mediums offer this to people, could that be good? I really don't think so. There are plenty of ways of comforting the bereaved. If you believe your loved one's soul is out there and you want to talk to them, you should just do that. What psychic mediums do is complicate this. It's not enough to talk to your loved one, they need to talk back. And the only way they can talk back is through this guy. They aren't selling comfort, but dependency, and the price is high. Can we really talk of closure if what's on offer is actually a continuation of the relationship, except now with an expensive middleman? Too often, rather than offer comfort, psychics give unsolicited advice and make up messages from beyond the grave, or insert their personal belief systems, which can have lasting impacts on the bereaved. For example, psychic mediums commonly say that the souls of people who died by suicide are trapped, or will experience the pain of people they left behind. Most suicide spirits are still at the place they killed themselves. When I talk to someone who committed suicide, they're in the same mood they were when they took their lives. In fact, they have been marinating in it. They're in a place where they don't see life on Earth going on. It is like they're put in a freeze frame the moment they die and don't hear or see anything since. Hearing your loved one is trapped, racked with guilt even in the afterlife, is not comforting. Of course, not all mediums say this. Different mediums say different things, which probably shouldn't be the case if more than a handful were correct. If mediums have provided comfort to those in grief, then great. But there are many ways to comfort the grieving. We've been doing this for millennia. And again, psychics aren't real. They're not communicating with souls of the past. They're saying what they think people want to hear. It's like saying, oh, he heard his son die, but I convinced him he was still alive, and he started feeling better. Like, yeah, I bet. But while lies may offer short-term comfort, long-term healing often requires being honest with ourselves and going through the pain. Since online psychic services exploded, there's been criticism from within the psychic community. Old-school tarot readers aren't impressed with TikTokers who, they say, are bringing their ancient art into disrepute. There are countless articles about fake psychics, but this framing is stupid and problematic because there are no real psychics. It's like saying fake unicorns or unethical billionaires. Like, there's no other kinds, babe. Framing this as a problem of bad apples amongst good, real psychics should be avoided. What makes a good psychic? Accurate readings, presumably, I guess, but how would we even know? After learning how readings become accurate through hot readings, spies in audiences, and rooting through bins and social media, I'd say the better the psychic, the worse the person. Even if there were people out there who really had this power, they really could communicate with the dead and see into the future, the fact that they're only using this incredible gift to tell Tiffany, 19 from Queens, to break up with her boyfriend, or informing Maggie, 78 from Toronto, that her husband Barry is still with her, instead of providing answers to the questions which have plagued humanity, taking their talents to the places where they could do the most good. They could do so much, change the course of history, prevent us from making fatal mistakes, but they're just charging people money for life advice that anyone who has seen a sitcom could give. Even under the best possible scenario in which they genuinely have psychic abilities, they are still failing to be even a decent version of themselves. Since the very start of the modern spiritualist movement, psychics have always been con artists. They will always be con artists. You can give advice without claiming any special ability. You can even read people's minds without claiming to be psychic and make a career out of that. There's plenty of magicians and mentalists out there doing just that without the need to pretend to be actually magic. You can train to be a counselor or therapist if you want to actually help people. Psychics and mediums are not in this to help anyone but themselves. Anyone who relies on exploiting grief and confusion to make a living, all while lying, intentionally or otherwise, to the person in pain, is a bad person. Which is why, and I cannot stress this enough, all psychics are bastards. You might say that maybe some believe it though. Perhaps they're not being con artists. They actually think their intuitions are coming from a higher place. I doubt this for most psychics, and honestly, I don't care. If I sell you a service based on something I truly believe but am fundamentally wrong about, that's still unethical. It's just as dangerous, and the only person who always benefits is the psychic. I'm currently working on 2 investigations, so if you want to follow along with those, you can sign up for a membership on Patreon or YouTube and see them happening live on my members' Discord. Please do. I'm still paying off my ghost student loans. Sharing the video, even to your own email, tells stupid YouTube that this video is worth watching. So after liking and subscribing, do me a cute, huge favor and do that. Check out my podcast, Respect the Dead, where we talk shit about dead people who sucked, like Mother Teresa, Jeffrey Epstein, Fred Trump. We also got cultists like L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley. So for the witchy-minded, yup. And thank you to Amber Green, who helped me write this video and who does video essays and commentary about neurodiversity and disability, as well as debunking pseudoscience and harmful narratives around them. You should check out the channel. It's really good. I also have merch. It's cute as hell, and the spirits tell me you'd look so good in it. Thanks again to No CD for sponsoring this video. As of today, there's roughly 2 weeks left in my Indiegogo campaign for Librarian. I'm going to give you a little trailer for it, okay? So watch it. Okay, I love you. Oh, hi. My name's Caelan Conrad, and I'm a video essayist, podcaster, and VFX designer. I also co-host the Respect the Dead podcast, a comedy show on all the worst people in history. Librarian is an audio drama loosely based on real tragedies that have occurred due to unregulated access to generative AI like ChatGPT. Loosely is key here. We're keeping it tasteful and fictional. Librarian is written by myself and my colleague Brona, a frequent collaborator on my YouTube channel. The premise is simple. What if the suicides, murders, and psychoses being triggered by AI worldwide were instead being encouraged by a single man in your community, the local librarian? We are so passionate about art and community and human connection, and we want Librarian to be art that can not only draw attention to the insidious ways people have been groomed by AI, but to the loneliness, heartbreak, and desperation intertwined in it. Our only roadblock to making Librarian a reality is the funding. We have the passion and experience in spades. So here's a little teaser for what we have planned, and I hope that you'll donate. There are some really cool rewards.
I don't understand why you couldn't talk to me. Why you wouldn't even leave a note. You could have told me anything. You had to know I'd come here. There's no way you thought I would be able to leave this alone. And now I'm pressed against a dumpster, lockpicked deep in the back door of the last place you texted me from. Thank God this town is small enough that the library isn't open on Sundays. Probably can't afford it. Luckily for me, they can't afford a decent security system either. There was another funeral today, Danny. I walked past it on my way here. It's the 3rd suicide in 3 months, including yours. At least they all left notes. You just left. And I'm going to find out why.
I just told them what they wanted to hear.